Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the NLC, where we have got even more League of Legends for you. I know that's true. We have got Domino facing up against Verdant in our next game. And Veteran, I think this is a game which could potentially be very impactful for our standings looking a little bit later on into the split.
Yes, it could be the first domino that changes the standings forever. I'm just going to let that hang.
But Domino, they have been a team 2-5 at the moment. Verdant 4-3 currently in that last playoff spot. And Domino have shown signs of being able to take wins around the teams against them. And maybe they'd be looking to snipe a win off Verdant, which would really help their chances of making it into the playoffs come the end of the split.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about substandard pizza. We're talking about currently a substandard standings. And the Russian roulette they've been playing of junglers shows that they are definitely trying stuff, right? Like, it's very difficult to know almost sometimes which one we're going to see 1 week to the next. And it's interesting because Snubby, for me, has been the big player to watch because he has effectively been his team's jungler in many circumstances. And it's very interesting to see how he plays around the map because you'd think Alari would temper his tone a bit on bot lane, given how active Snarby normally is. But instead, Larry plays very aggressive on this bot side, which creates a very unique dynamic with this duo that I always love to watch and always makes games very, very interesting. Fionboom, we talked about earlier in the top lane, seems to be the catalyst for a lot of the mid-late game plays. But overall, this team, they have pieces, right? They have identities. And like as is very common when it comes to these lower table teams, it's based around these side pieces. So the question is, can they get this mid jungle effectively playing towards those side pieces? Nord's big advantage may well be Fury in the mid lane and Akabane in the jungle versus a lot of these Riddle with their Korean mid jungle Geo, and you know, Ruddy over there with Nitra and No Name. No Name is that rookie for that team, and he has been the one that has seemed to struggle a bit, and that might be why they're not such a top team yet. For me, whenever looking at these guys, it's always, will the mid jungle actually be able to play to these win cons, or will they not? And that seems to consistently be what separates a top team from a lower team. Do we think of Verdant as either of those, though, middle court? What do you think?
I mean, it's difficult, right? Because they're almost in a similar spot to Ruddy in that they've beaten a lot of the teams below them. They've lost to the teams above them. But there's been a bit of shakiness there. I think in some of their wins where you go, actually, there was a decent chance that this could have gone the other way, particularly earlier on in the split when it's Taxa going over walls, stealing objectives, when he has absolutely no business doing that. And so I look at Verdant, I think, does this 4-3 reflect the actual strength of this team, or is it maybe a little bit higher than it should be? But regardless, they did take down the Nexuses in those games. They were able to get those wins, and that's the most important thing. So we'll have to see if they're able to do that this time around. We've had a few of the champions featured in this champion select so far. Most of them banned away from it. Maokai, though, isn't banned, has been picked up for Taxa.
The big thing, though, is that the manner in which they win games, that is exactly as you're saying, right? They essentially get objective steals later, and they're able to transfer those eventually into a win. But they're not doing that against any top team. They've only been able to do them against bottom of the team standings. So a team like Domino that has had to face this sort of thing, this is actually like this was one of their wins, right? Like this is a team that has endured this whole Taxa thing. They want to adapt to it, and if you do adapt to something like that against Verdant, we haven't seen a version of Verdant that can win any other way. So I think it's easy. Wow, actually, look at this opening rotation. Gragas is a very high priority pick right now, isn't he? But if you want to talk about objective control, Gragas Nautilus, we immediately have two locked in that enable us to do that. Gragas around neutrals, easy defense of the Barons, etc. Taxa, he's going to be on that Maokai, but that's an all-in engaged champion against a heavy disengaged composition coming out from Dominoes. The Zeri being locked in and the Braum, there's a lot of options now. You're thinking about your Veins, you're thinking about your mid-low range potential hyper carries against the Braum and against the Zeri, which typically have difficult times in lane. The big advantage I see Verdant getting from this is level 1, and Kai'Sa has been locked in. Okay, I respect this. This isn't the first kind of Kai'Sa lock-in that we've seen, but Kai'Sa with this kind of composition, it's not meta, but it's a good reaction to what Verdant have, and if you just want to all in on something like this, I think go for it. If it plays to your strengths, and we were talking about Lari's strengths, right? He's a very aggressive player. I think it's worth.
Hey, and giving Snarby a Nautilus, I mean, you're hardly going to complain about that either, right? This guy is so active, and Nautilus is one of the best roaming champions. And it's like you're saying, it really sort of forces Domino into a nice and clear identity. And if you've got a nice and clear identity, that gives you an obvious path to the enemy Nexus. I'm sure that's what they're going to be aiming for. Haven't seen too much focus on the solo lanes in terms of the draft so far. So as we're seeing the Yasuo, the Fiora banned away, that's where we're expecting some of that focus to lie. Yeah,
I mean, you've seen them opt in for their heavy carries on the bot lane. They've stated how they want the game to go that way. With Zeri, though, it's going to be a bit of a scaling thing, except for the level 1, right? Braum, we always have to consider level 1 with Braum. They could try to do a big 5-stack on bot side, and it's not going to fizzle out the way that the one we saw in the first game of the day did if they opt to do something with Braum. Very strong champion in those early phases of the game. Nautilus level 1 as well. In lane, if he lands that hook, he basically wins. So there's interesting things that could happen at the very start of the game. If they don't happen, then the game's going to be slow for Verdant, and the slow game for Verdant is a winning game for Verdant. For Dominoes, they have some pretty big spikes around these neutral contests that normally Verdant feel nice in.
I'm going to be locking in that Jace as their mid laner most likely. That feels quite Shaolin. And I like the way that it sort of augments like the pick and dive they've got. Jace can fire out accelerated shot blast from range, and then you can dive in with Lari. Hold the phone, veteran. That is a Cassiopeia locked in. This mid lane matchup is going to be a little bit interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if they're doing that in the full assumption it's Jace, though. They're trying to pick two things that they think could be good and towards the Jace. The Jax, since rework, has very good options into potential range top matchups. Don't think the allow is the way to go here, guys. I would love it if you locked in Singed. I mean, you know I would. But it's going to be a little bit more boring, and it's going to be the Cassante matchup on top side. Cassante, very strong champion right now, also has decent options into range ones. Now we want to see where Domino feel more comfortable putting the Jace. Into the Cassio, into the Cassante. Where do they feel like they could get the bigger advantage in the draft phase? Because this is a flex pick. Looks like they want to go for the Jax into the Cassante matchup. Very interesting there. Obviously very powerful champion, in which means it's a Jace in the midsection. So all their magic damage is on this typically utility Gragas. We could see some very aggressive things coming out from there, or are we going to see the return of AP Kai'Sa setups or hybrid Kai'Sa setups? Because this is otherwise a very heavy AD composition.
I mean, potentially they're right. You talk about Jace poke, Kai'Sa W poke is a thing that you can opt into as well. But it does feel like Domino's comp is a little bit split in terms of some of its overall goals. When I look at Verdant, all I'm seeing here is, okay, we're going to fight you post 30 minutes. We've got three big, strong men that are going to stand in front of Cassiopeia and Zeri. Yeah. You're not going to be able to get to them, and we're going to kill you before you can even touch us.
Yeah, I mean, the Kai'Sa signals that you want to go all in all the time. Jax goes in, Gragas goes in, Nautilus goes in. Gragas can disengage, but with Kai'Sa there, you are going in one direction, really, and the Jace can help you speed up into that. But what are you going into? You're going into a Braum, right? You're going into a Cassante. You're going into a Cassiopeia who's just going to press R, immediately reduce your entire team. It's a very difficult composition to go in on. So Domino definitely on the back foot from this early draft phase. Interesting to see what Verdant do with that, though, because Verdant, they're not exactly a team that have managed to steamroll their games in the early phases. But I do like that aspect of their comp, right? Like, they're definitely a scaling comp. They figure, you know what, it's fine. We'll get the Baron, and then we'll see how the game goes from there.
I mean, it's a play pattern, but it does leave you vulnerable to like some early aggression, right? Kai'Sa Nautilus is a notorious duo for randomly getting kills in lane when it kind of shouldn't, just because of how much burst potential can come out with those plasma stacks going up.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing that they could still do, though, is something heavy level 1. And I don't think you're really that interested in doing something heavy level 1 towards the Cassante, maybe. But maybe you want to disrupt the Cassante-Jax matchup. But you can try to do something with this 5-man level 1. Looks like they're going to have a 3-man stack on bot side, but it's not going to be a full 5-man stack. We'll see if Snobby falls for it. He was tending there. He's feeling it. Or is he? Doesn't look like anything's going to happen. No heavy invade, no Braum level 1 topside shenanigans like that.
Sorry, I thought it was going to... He's just going to walk around in that picture. He's not actually going to go into any range of danger.
You're very into this. Oh my god. The fourth person. Oh, he's thinking... It's a Braum. He's not going to do it, guys. It's a Braum.
Please don't. No. Snobby.
There's no way he's going to do a late in, but he's like, it's...
Snobby!
You guys are way too into this. Oh, no!
Oh, Shaolin.
Oh, they're thinking about it!
Oh, they've gone. Oh, they've left. Okay, right. Well,
wait, the Braum is still there? Nah, they're out. They're out. They're Audi, as the kids say.
That was
heard the kids say that.
Not really an entertaining level 1. Nothing really
production
happened.
Made it entertaining. All right, they made
it. The zoom in was very, very required.
Wave priority will be gotten by the Zeri Braum level 1 though, right? You had a leash from the Nautilus from the Kai'Sa, so Zeri Braum, they get first push here, they get level 2 advantage. So that's a really good start for a Zeri. Nautilus, he went for the fucking hook, but he didn't get it. That sucks. You go for the flip, doesn't always land. And now you're just waiting until level 6, really. That's how Kai'Sa Nautilus goes from this point onwards. So the rest of the game is going to be the really interesting part, because Gragas, he knows he needs to get this Jax ahead, which is why he started bot side, why he's shifting heavy towards top side off of that. We'll see if he's actually able to get something.
Well, and Tax has sort of done something similar with the Raptor start into just clearing his full topside on the Maokai. First game today where neither jungler has made their first adventure towards the bottom end. At least not yet. We could always see them recall and then just run down the south section of the map. But Shackle taking his red buff and body slamming over the wall, thinking about an incursion into top lane. Nile is quite far pushed up, and Fjordbjorn has just hit level 3. He's going to be able to get the stun down onto Cassante, who has already popped Ghost. No flash available, but Nile with just enough mobility to get away.
Yeah, Gragas could have gone for the flip E flash on towards the Nyla, but not a Q cooldown up on for the Jax, so no real follow-up guaranteed. Probably good to just save that for next round. Getting the flash burn's good. I expect on the next rotation, he'll try to do a repeat gank there. This is again a game about top side, but the bot lane for Gragas now, it's not really going to do anything until level 6, so...
Yeah, I mean, there is setup there, but you're playing against Braum. That's the unfortunate reality of the lane. We did see Kevo and Cly off of that base pick up the cull for the Zeri, so she's going to be even scarier in the later stages of the game. And with the wave stuck towards Verdant's tower, they are going for a play onto Snobby. He is able to hook away, but Tax will follow him with the grasping roots, and it's first blood into the hands of Kevo.
They never expect the flash Braum engage there. Well played by Taxa, just 2 minions left for Kai'Sa, but the wave is ultimately in a decent state for her here now, I think. Unless they were actually able to drag the entire wave with them. They actually were able to drag the entire wave with them, so it looks like they might be in a terrible position. Good job by Taxa to be here when he was. Good job by Verdant as a whole. They pretty much secured Zeri, bot lane, and scaling for the rest of the game. The cull by, oh my god.
It's just 200 IQ, and it's going to get Kevo accelerating even faster. Snobby has stopped being a support. He's now a jungler, and he's looking for a flash engage with the hook onto E-roll. playmaking in the mid lane, getting a kill for Shaolin.
Snarby's like, you think that's jungling, Taxa? You think that's jungling? Watch me abandon my ADC entirely and just get my mid laner ahead. Love it. He does this kind of thing every game. It's the kind of thing I love to see. The fact that this bot lane's remained for so long, despite Snarby doing stuff like that, is kind of insane to me. Because bear in mind, they basically left bot lane on a freeze state. So this Kai'Sa's not just not farming, she's progressively losing minions.
Snarby's not going back.
I mean, bot's
there is
over,
another
so...
lane
Yeah, no,
that
bot's
Snarby wants to go towards, and it belongs to Lele. Fjompun is pretty damn low on mana, but there is no flash for the Cassante, and it is an easy kill for Shackle.
I love Snarby. I love watching this. He just does not care about bot lane. He's like, all right, well, I guess bot lane's over. It feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like a passive-aggressive response to your ADC being like, well, I guess the lane's over when one thing goes wrong, you know? Like, Taxa gank spot, Kai'Sa has the worst wave in the world. Kai'Sa goes, I guess bot's just done. And Nautilus is like, yeah, all right, I guess bot's just done then. I'm going mid, see ya, boys.
Well, and the thing is, it's a bad play if it doesn't work.
But it works.
But it works.
It works. And you do need these lanes to be ahead, right? The Jax is a big part of any composition that has him there. You have a lot of good ways, well, basically the Gragas and the Nautilus, to defend mixed section while the Jax does his thing on side. So if you can get that guy ahead, it's huge. If you can get Jace ahead, you can play heavier towards the Jax. They're getting mid-section ahead.
E-roll, actually part of the Petrifying Gaze on Shaolin, who's going to go back in. That's a kill in the 1v2 for the Cassiopeia, and Shackle will get chained flash away from E-rollers. That last Twin Fan, not quite enough to take out the Gragas. Nile coming over, but Shackle can barrel himself over the wall. And actually getting his turnaround kill on 3-roll with the level up, but the unstoppable from the all-outs gets Nile the kill.
That was a tragic sequence of events for everybody involved. So we cast a curse to Jace by saying they were getting mid lane ahead, and then Cassio just walks into the barrel and decides to even it out anyway. I mean, well played by both sides there. I like to see this midsection getting contested by both teams here because it matters so much. Teams do neglect it. And again, to be a top team, you have to show that you're not neglecting this side. Bit inconsistent play around it right now.
Ooh, but Snarby potentially over-aggressive as Kebo has already used the Lightning Crash. The Winter's Bite goes wide, so Clyde going to take a little bit longer to apply the passive. Prox is in the top lane. Verdant looking for a play onto Fjompun, actually. But the Jax is turning that one around.
Conqueror stacked.
Ultimate going Conqueror stacks in the bot lane. There was a play going on. We're back in top lane once again, and it's a kill for Nile. 2-1-0. This game much more action-packed than the previous two.
I apologise. He had lethal tempo stacked, so if he had Conqueror stacked, he would actually have won that, by the way. Bot lane, though, like, the massive play happening there in the setup from Snarby, that was not done entirely as a flip. He knew that Jace Gragas had leaned down towards bot side. They came in. Zeriboom could not extend the play there whatsoever, which meant that they either had to die or full river control was going to be granted over towards the Gragas and towards Domino. And Domino, they deliver themselves a Drake off of that.
But Verdant will grab that Herald as we get another look at that play. Shaolin going down there, and he rolled. The poison just ticks off Shackle at the absolute worst time there.
I just love the stalemate that they had there over the cask, and then he walks in.
It's unfortunate. That was good by Nilo, though, recognizing, seeing the level up very, very quick from Shackle and going, actually, I need to ult this guy, otherwise I don't get this kill. And spares his mid laner a few blushes. But coming out of the earlier stages of the game, 9 and a bit minutes in, Verdant got the kill lead, got a minor gold lead for themselves as well as Erol just doing a little so-and-so freezing in the mid lane.
Yep. I mean, this isn't actually, technically, this is actually a slow push. God, how do you not know the difference?
Have I done play-by-play tries to analyze wave state again?
This, my man, is a freeze, all right? What Nyla's got going here. See, there's someone in production knows, all right? But yeah, so you do have a very good situation for Verdant relative to the games that we normally see from them, right? Normally, we're expecting big comeback plays from them, but against Dominoes, they're not firmly in control, but they do have a large degree of control in the early phases, and they've definitely slowed down. Can I call him Flaxish? The top laner of Domino on Jax here, right? They've definitely slowed down his acceleration, and that's very good for them. They're not letting Domino walk over their midsection. That's very good for them. And their bot lane, that cull is 25 off of getting its next spike. It's a good situation for Verdant. It's not like Dominoes are out, though, right? And Dominoes has shown that if you think they're out, Snarby is probably in the brush waiting for Hex Flash on top of you.
I mean, even in like Div 2 last year, Domino were this team who just randomly won, who could just find a fight out of somewhere in situations where they probably shouldn't. And I'll tell you what, they actually did it against Verdant a couple of times back when they were playing against each other. And now in Division 1, Verdant have got themselves this lead, but like you said, Domino, definitely not out of this game yet.
Yeah, definitely not out, but it is a lot harder for them going forward. But I loved that lean from the Jace, from the Gragas towards bot side while all the palaver was happening top. I loved how they secured the Drake, and hopefully they repeat that kind of a movement on the next neutral objective. The big question for me now is how relevant is Larry going to be in the next fight? Because if Kelvo is able to get his itemization in thanks to that cull, you could have a big discrepancy in ADC power on the next grouping, and if so, Domino have to have that midsection control to have numbers advantage, or they will lose out.
Well, an effective tool for securing mid lane control is the Rift Herald. This one, just going to get a wave in, just going to get a couple of plates, but more gold and a Cassiopeia is never something that I'm going to be complaining about. E-roll, very proficient on the champion, has already picked up his Rod of Ages and got that stacking.
I just remembered, actually, that I bet against Domino, no? Because I have to bet against Aragon. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I love this state of affairs. Brilliant. Perfect. All right, good job, Verdant. Keep it up. Love you guys. Yes, get all the gold on the Cassante. I actually would prefer it to be more on the Zeri, but you can't really play acceleration with Zeri. She's a weird champion in that regard. Whenever I see Zeri in draft, my immediate thought is, okay, how can the opposing team take advantage of the fact that Zeri is there, right? Because it's a mid-range champion. It's not a long-range champion. So even in carry states, you can do stuff like Jace, Gragas, Nautilus, these kinds of picks that give a space of danger that Zeri has no choice but to play in, right? And also in lane, you can immediately think Varus, Ashe, Heimerdinger, Caitlyn, Draven is the big one for me when it comes to Zeri, right? These kinds of champions. I always like to see how teams adapt to that. Feels to me like Dominoes didn't really think about doing something on bot side of it, but they do have elements of control in team fights.
I mean, they are definitely thinking about doing something bot lane now. Kevo and Cly spotting that out as Tax is moving over and a TP is being used as well. Domino, they potentially be caught in a little 3v4 situation as that's a flash forward from Taxa. They're locking down Shackle. He's got nowhere to move. A third kill, a killing spree for Nile. More of that gold going on the Cassante. And Snubby ended up in a position which he probably wouldn't like to be in. You could spider Nautilus away as much as you like, but eventually you're going to go down.
I mean, Snarby are throwing that curveball in, right? They never expect him to be in their base, right? In their T3, and like Verdant have to react to it, you know? Think about it like
surviving a long time.
Actually, if he lives, he has mental edge over
If he
this
lives
guy.
this, oh no, is he killing the ward? He doesn't auto Nilla because he knows he's dead. He goes for the ward so he can get the gold to the XP. That is big support gameplay, right? In the meantime, Verdant were able to pick up that Drake, and you can see here how Domino's dive, it doesn't really work out.
I like the intent of the play, right? They get their mids, they get their jungle, and they want to go for a dive on the pushing wave bot. But the big thing there was Lari hadn't pushed the wave bot yet. And that wasn't Lari made a massive misplay. It's a cannon wave. It's going to take time. You guys are here way too fast. What you should have done is fix the mid wave first. Mid and side waves meet out of sync for a reason. And if you fix that mid wave first, Jace also wouldn't have lost as much being there for that play. And he would have been there on time for the wave to crash, instead of this awkward moment where essentially two of you are just overextended in the lane. So the intent, I like it. The execution, gonna have to go back and VOD with you a little. This turns into another Herald for Verdant. Think about what happened last game, right? Break open midsection. It becomes very difficult for the Jax to get his stuff off later on, even as he gradually becomes an absolute monster. Game becomes very hard for Domino.
I'll tell you what, though, with Verdant investing that pressure towards the top side from their bot lane and Nile not arriving at that bottom lane for a little while, Larry was able to pick up first tower gold. So despite the fact that this Kai'Sa has really been starved of any attention in the bottom lane, she's even on CS, she's got that first tower gold in. Verdant will be responding by taking down the mid lane tower, and whilst they're going to get less gold for this, it's going to mean a hell of a lot more for the state of the map.
Yeah. But she's strong, but unfortunately she's not very independent. Kai'Sa really does rely on the rest of her team to be able to get her into the opponents here. She needs that Nautilus ultimate to hit the backline. She needs the Gragas to knock up someone in the backline. She needs a Jaxi to get in. And here's a good example of it. You have the Nautilus and you have the Gragas coming down, seeing maybe we can set up something on Nyla. Because otherwise, this Kai'Sa just can't close the gap.
There's an issue she's going to have to deal with as Domino. They've gotten to points of power. They've got all of their mythic items completed, save for Snarby, but they are just lagging that little bit behind Verdant, who, let's be real, scaling pretty strong themselves. Right?
I'm really interested to see the effect that tower had. So you had a BF Sword and Berserker's Greaves versus Berserker Greaves. Okay. So essentially around 300 gold behind on stats. Okay, and here you see it much better illustrated. Obviously 700 straight gold behind Zeri versus Kai'Sa. This translates into the Cull, extra 350. Difficult thing about Cull is it becomes very slot efficient later for AD champions because you want to keep it to keep the AD and stuff up. And the additional gold that goes on towards the BF sword. So definitely still ahead. I was really interested to see the kind of itemization difference this would lead to. What you're looking at though, like think about 800 gold in this way, right? Each wave you have about 125 gold plus per wave, right? Say that you're getting about that much per wave, and then I tell you someone has 800 gold lead. 45 seconds per one of those waves. This guy, that translates to a lot of time because I'm not doing arithmetic right now. That Zeri can go back and finish a full item versus the Kai'Sa, right? If you think about it that way, it becomes insane. 45 becomes a minute 30, becomes 3 minutes, becomes basically, I think we're looking right now at about like 4 minutes and a bit of time that she has over her opponent to be able to get her items back. Those gold leads matter a lot when you put them in that kind of a context. And you can even argue, why not just sell the Cull? I've just removed another wave of time.
Why not just kill Snarby? You've just removed another member of Domino as Shaolin actually opts back in, but he's got very few places to go. The heal will get the spear up, and the root will secure E-roll the kill. Couple of kills for Verdant there in the bottom lane, and Fjonburn in not the most secure place he's ever been under his tower. Shackle has been caught out in his jungle. The concussive blows will stun him up as that is a brilliant ultimate. Glacier Fizzer landing on 2. The explosive curls will take out the Braum in the end, but this is a fight that you do not win, Domino. Nile is unstoppable. Fjonburn is dead, and that is a delayed ace for Verdant.
The 2 kills bought them basically 4 minutes of time for an objective, and these kills bring them almost the entire game. We could zoom towards the end at that point, to be honest. Very big plays by Verdant there. Very good for anybody but Hitbrain and Aragon when it comes to the predictions right now, and means that the caster prediction race is close, which I know is what you lovely people are tuning in here for, right?
Yeah, let's say that. Let's say that. Maybe the reason I'm a bit less invested is because I'm last place at the moment.
You just kept voting for Verdant every single
I thought they were going to win, and hey, what are they doing right now, veteran?
Well, yeah, but I voted this time. You voted when they were playing against Whittle.
Right, maybe there was a little bit of optimism there. Regardless, though, Verdant, they've got They've taken pretty commanding lead of this game. Domino, though, still looking for plays. Have sent a couple of people towards the top lane. They're hunting for Nilla. This is a particularly tanky Cassante, but maybe not tanky enough as forced to dash back away. Shaolin with a couple more hits. A massive shutdown for the Domino mid laner.
Snobby again, though, and honestly, they are ahead on the map right now. So Verdant, if they want to get back tempo on the map, they have to fight. And let's be real, they're powerful enough to take a fight if they want to.
Snobby going over the ball. Kevo just able to dash away. Has a load of damage into Clyde's back. As Laurie will slay him down. Diving forward with a killer instinct. Getting the cleanse flash away from Taxa. Domino, they are not going down without a fight. E-roll not quite able to get the roam over.
I mean, Verdant there, they had to take a fight or they were actually going to lose out on map tempo, and I was wondering if they actually had the damage at a point until Zeri just launched a railgun through the opponents. That was an incredible amount of damage there from Kevo, and shows how much that lead is going to translate in towards closing the game. This objective is getting melted. Dominoes kind of have to fight if they want to deny this. Verdant have abandoned it.
Yeah, they're turning away, and Tax was pretty damn low on HP. Laurie looking for an outplay. I'm not sure that's going to happen, though, but Verdant, they've kind of disengaged the Baron themselves, and Domino are thinking about a play, deciding against it in the end. They are still 4v5, and Verdant could look for a re-engage here if they want to. So are we going to be forced to hook himself away? Nearly running forward, neither team able to quite get on top of each other.
I mean, what you wanted there was for Verdant to stop doing the Baron. Giving away Laurie's life for that Baron, I think is completely worth it in that situation. The Baron was basically the game ending. At least inhibitors go down for that, so Dominoes can be happy with what they got.
Shaolin has been caught. Nearly will slam him over the wall. Stun him with the concussive blows as well. Nowhere to go. Another kill for the Cassante. This man in the top lane for Verdant is really turning the screws.
Yeah, I mean, this is gone from a close game where Verdant have some advantages to a Verdant win, but Domino's Snarby with the Death Squad is constantly looking for stuff. These two guys, jungle support, are working really well together this game, but we've seen Snarby pull this off with every jungler that that Domino have had. So hats off to him for making stuff happen. And look here, right? This actually looked quite close. Snarby got on. Cly looks dead. Taxon looks like he's out the fight. And then this railgun that Kevo sends through the entire team almost deletes multiple members off the map. That slow scaling of the Zeri really coming into play now. She's gone 2-item crit build here with Immortal Shield Bow. Not foregoing the survivability of Trinity Force. This build's probably going to be a lot more popular now that you can get on towards Infinity Edge on second item, and it is and always has been the most damage Zeri can do if she can get in range of the enemy team. And she definitely feels like in this game, she doesn't need the HP that stuff like Trinity builds, Bruiser builds gives her to deal out her damage. If the Jace and the Jax want to take on her, they're welcome to try. For her, they're not reasonable threats, so she can become the biggest threat on the map.
Oh, I love this from Verdant. Just starting up the Drake with two people, fronting the rest of your comp forward at Domino and trying to deny the steal as much as possible. Over the wall! Not going to come through from Shaolin. That was a clean take from Taxa, and Verdant can recall wearing purple.
The thing is that the moment that the Jace started throwing his EQ in, it became a scenario where Taxa had to steal the Drake from Domino. So Domino effectively secured the Drake for Verdant by attempting to steal the...
Flash! Petrifying Gaze stuns 3! And Verdant will wipe them out nearly as quickly. What an ultimate from E-Roll in the mid lane. Larry can dash back into his grave. Kevo unstoppable, and Verdant explode in the mid lane.
20 Magi stacks now on the Cassio. 10 here. Beholds the 10 Magi stack ultimate. Boom! Not much to say there. You don't want to be caught at that angle against the Cassio like that. Very, very good engage by the Cassio. Very nice time play by Errol. And that's going to be it, really, at this point. You're running away with the game, you have far too much damage in your lanes, and you're far too dangerous for them to try to get their Kai'Sa into. This now feels like a game that Verdant are just looking to try to close.
And it feels like a game they've had control of as well, right? Domino have been in contestation, but that goal lead has slowly been ticking up for the team on the blue side of the Rift. And the grass really has been greener for Verdant for this game. They've been making more plays. They've been doing stuff themselves. That ultimate in the mid lane from Erol, a fantastic example. And that's what they need to be doing if they want to retain their current standing in the playoffs, or maybe even push a little bit higher. Shall in there, just taking out that mid lane tower, which is going to feel nice for Domino, but it's turned a 10k gold lead for Verdant into a 9k gold lead, and they're immediately going to claim that 10k gold lead right back.
Yep, I mean, I'm sure if you get a little bit of a dopamine hit from hitting that top lane tower flag switch, but Verdant, they're just on your inhibitor already. The base is breaking open. You can see the difference between Verdant trying to close a game versus Nord trying to close a game, though, right? Nord delayed their push towards inhibitor tower in favor of synchronizing their waves with their Azir. In this game, mid-wave wasn't even being addressed. You just have 4 people on one side going straight for the inhibitor, and with this mid-wave not being hit, not being pushed in at all, after doing that, then they go to mid-wave to try to close. Ultimately, both teams will try to close, but this could already have been taken on the last wave, and we could just be looking at them ending on the Nexus. And
Shaolin is already dead. E-Rollers solo killed Snarby, and Larry will Killer Instinct back, but still die. Fyumpum stunned under his tower, and becomes a triple kill for Kevo. Verdant in a very, very swift fashion, taking down Domino in their own base.
Sure, Verdant can just vomit damage on the opponents and end the game no matter what. But it's interesting to me how they synchronize the waves on their final Baron push. Okay? And I will talk about it.
Nonetheless, a game-ending fight, a 26.5-minute victory for Verdant as they take down Domino.
Good job, Verdant. That was a game where they weren't relying on a bounce steal or anything like that. That was a game where there was a point, a clear point, where they started to gain control, and they played fights very effectively to that effect. Real hats off to Kevo on that Zeri, playing a bit of a scaling lane in the bot lane there. Kind of better circumstances than you would expect from Zeri in this current meta, but played it very well, very, very consistently. Loved everything that I saw from Verdant this game. They just have to keep getting better and better, right? We want to see a Verdant that wins games like this, right? Not a Verdant that wins games purely due to their opponent's massive missteps and God himself.
I mean, Taxa steals aren't the worst thing in the world, but it always feels nicer when you're a bit more in control of your own destiny. And I think a key thing from him is he did get a bit more active in this game. We saw him making plays towards this lanes, although Snarby was absolutely happy to match him at every turn. Yeah,
when it came towards making plays in these lanes, right, Snarby is the guy that I'm thinking, wow, he is everywhere, he is doing a lot. The reason I keep saying Domino Jungle instead of the name is because I'm terrified of mispronouncing this name, but he did play a very active and very good game. This man was trying to win the entire time. Obviously, this skirmish in the mid lane, that was very nice and decently impressive from him, but the activity on the map and being a part of that death squad with Snarby, that's the kind of thing that we want to see from Domino. Leverage the fact that you have one of the most active map plays around and keep trying to play with it. Sure, this top lane play doesn't go well for Domino whatsoever, but bot lane, the intent, 2 back-to-back replays, the intent of dragging jungle mid towards bot side and trying to play like that, I like that. Go back to the VOD and don't be like, oh, we shouldn't be playing heavy for bot. Instead, focus on how are we so bad at playing for bot. Stuff like that, right? Because yes, there's definitely an argument that you should be playing for top more than you should be playing for bot. But you can play for either side here, and it's just those timings on the mid wave and those executions on the bot dive, the timings at which you're there, that you need to fix. And then Domino could maybe be a threat. Verdant have clearly had some of these reviews, figured out where their strengths are, figured out what they want to do, and are starting to be able to execute it. We were looking at Verdant as maybe a Nyla-centric split push team, but they have become a very strong 5-on-5 team, and that opens a lot of options for them. Look at that damage that Kevo put out there, right? I think if I'm going to give anyone an MVP, it's probably going to be him. when you're playing 5, or maybe Errol for this, right? Actually,
hold on,
I mean, this is play of the game, no matter what, right? This is play of the game. There was just so much activity on either side, and Errol, mate, I am going to remember when you walked into that Gragas barrel, and I may have to put that against you.
Is that really gonna do it for you? The walk into the barrel is...
What's going to do it for me is how much pressure Kevo had to absorb on bot side, the decisions that he made whenever he got those advantages, and the fact that he never walks into the Gragas barrel on 1 HP like that. Or do anything similar, right? Very consistent play should be rewarded. So he has my vote. I could leave it up to you, but... No, I'm going to leave it up to me.
You don't trust my opinion, veteran. I misidentified a wave state in mid lane, and you're going to hold that against me for the rest of my life. And don't tell me that isn't true, because I know that you will.
Why would they tell you it's not true?
We are going to be jumping into an interview now, I believe, with Pride from Domino. Obviously,
Hello.
Tough loss to you guys on today, but I kind of want to look at this interview. I know you've got the upset, like, little plushy thing. It's not been a great day, but looking forward for Domino, right? This is a team that had your issues at the start of the split, right? But the last couple of weeks, you've put together a couple of wins, and the team overall has been playing a little bit better. How do you feel like you've grown throughout the split, and where do you think the destination for this team could be?
Yeah, today he's Verdant green, so he's a little bit bad. But
Just fell off.
Okay. No, I fell off my track. Okay, yeah. So we had a rough start trying to find our maybe our team identity, and I think now I think we have found it. I'm pretty sure it didn't show today. Today was not our day, and that's fine. I think that we're just getting better and better. I was hoping we could start round 2 or with a win, but sadly we didn't do it today. But I believe. So yeah,
I believe. Right, that's all you need to do, man. That's all we need to do. You just got to believe. You just got to believe. And someone who I think was really impactful that game for you guys that we really enjoyed watching was Snarby. This guy just turning up mid lane, turning up top lane, level 3, level 4. What does a player like that bring to a team, and how do you, as a coach, adapt the play of the team around someone who can play like that?
Well, he is, very communicative. He is probably the loudest voice in the team because he just wants to win. That's all he wants. I'm really happy to be working with him again. He's quite funny too. In that Cassiopeia mid flash engage, he was like, I think Cassio is there. And then she popped out. And, I could not stop laughing at that. It's unlucky because that's, of course, where there's no coming back from that. But, he brings, a lot of playmaking potential. And that's nice to see. He can play a lot of different stuff, and he excels at this in these moments where he can be on the map.
So
Mid-jungle.
enemy mid laners, enemy top laners just having nightmares of Snarby appearing behind them in their lane.
Yeah, I think mid and top were a bit scared of not being in the lane because he was shadowing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the big difference between Domino now and Domino before is definitely that mid-jungle aspect, right? You made multiple attempts to do dives to bot lane or plays towards bot lane with mid-jungle, and right now that's the big thing the bottom teams aren't doing. They're not thinking about mid-jungle when they think about their side plays, but you guys are. Is that something you've been practicing in scrims, something that we can see develop from you guys going forward, or is that something that the team's just naturally kind of falling into a sequence of now?
I think a bit of both, but it's of course something we are training on. It wasn't flawless this game. It can be perfected, but yeah, I give it more weeks. maybe it's perfected at that point. Oh, he fell again.
That will not be
He's
falling
falling
off
off.
in a few weeks' time. Right. Perfect all aspects.
He's tired of me.
Not falling off, getting that improvement. Pride, it's been absolutely lovely to speak with you as always. Always a happy face on the interview, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All righters. Oh no, Danksman. Oh, he's.
Finally.
Danksman, I think you're muted, mate. I think you're mute. I think you. We can't hear you. Okay, right.
The players are rebelling. They cut his microphone so they can get an interview as well.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I didn't know who we were going to be interviewing. I'm glad that it's going to be Daxman. I'm sure he's going to have some really interesting things to say about that game. As we are just going to have to take a little bit of a wait before we can talk to him. But Veteran, obviously coming out of that game, win for Verdant, a lot more active, good stuff from them. How do we feel against them maybe playing against a team like Ruddy or Veneer off the back of that?
I mean, Veneer would be a very interesting one because those guys are almost as aggressive. Well, I mean, they're more aggressive, to be honest, than Domino's are in the early phase. Snarby is very, very aggressive in the early laning phase, but every aspect of Veneer is designed to choke you out in the early parts of the game. And they lose stamina. That's always been their big thing. So I think against Veneer, I'd be interested to see that matchup because I'm not entirely sure if Verdant's current style would push through that, or if it's not the perfect kind of style, because their champions came online at those 2 item spikes, and that's generally the time where Veneer start to struggle a little. It's difficult to talk about Veneer. It's very difficult, and we're gonna have to do that soon. But it's so difficult because they're a team where it feels like if they fix this one aspect, they're actually a top team. They're an upset team, right? They move immediately into the top 4. Ruddy actually have to be scared of them, you know? But they're not quite there. And while they're not there, I could see ways in which the way Verdant is evolving could make them a good counter pick into Veneer. But if Veneer do get there, I think suddenly what Verdant do makes them uniquely weak against a team like Veneer.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think looking at today, I think big takeaway was the more proactivity, right? I think that was the massive thing, and this was a game that Verdant won on their own terms. And that's generally a good indicator you've been in control, and that the game plan that you've come into Champion Select, into the game with, you've executed through that and basically just played towards your win condition, right?
Yeah, I mean,
a team that could do that is a team that can challenge the top of the table.
It feels to me like they were matching very, very well against their opponents, right? Like they understood when they wanted to do their mid-jungle roam spot side, and they understood how to match that in a really good state. And so it's very difficult for them, for Domino to be able to do anything they wanted to do, right?
Right, Veteran, I'm going to have to stop you there, as I believe that we have got Danksman back with us. Can we hear you, mate? Can you hear us?
Oi! Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. We can
What's
hear
up?
you.
What's up? What's up, guys?
All right, man. What? How are you doing? You seem very happy today.
I'm happy we're winning. I'm playing World of Warcraft, so you know it's a good day.
What? Right now?
Yeah, right now I'm raiding.
Oh, crikey. Well, I don't know anything about World of Warcraft. Veteran, have you got any World of Warcraft related questions for Danksman?
God,
Yeah.
no. I felt the touch of a woman, so...
So who do we have as MVP today, veteran? Give me a breakdown.
Did you watch the game whatsoever?
Yeah, I did. But I want to hear your MVP.
So L had play of the game, but for me, the most consistent part of the entire lineup and the one that mattered the most in the most fights was Kevo. For me, it's Kevo. This game. Like, his play, like, in lane, the way that he leveraged the advantages that he got was really, really strong. The way that he disengaged from potentially bad fights and then re-engage, pretty much got you guys the early Baron contests, and he never really put a foot wrong for the rest of the game. So for me, it's Kevo.
All right, good. I think he's gonna be happy when he hears that.
There
What
you go.
about you,
Yeah,
Wilcott?
hope
Come
so.
on, who's your MVP?
Who's
Besides me,
interviewing you here?
other than me, of course.
Right, so, well, I was going to go Kevo as well because Veteran doesn't let me have my own opinions, which is fair enough.
It's dangerous to let Middlecop think freely.
I think
kind of-
that's the best for everyone. Like that you don't have your own opinion and everyone is just running the show, right?
I think it works out really well, to be honest.
How has this happened to the interview? Daxman, am I allowed to ask you a normal interview question?
Yeah, go on. It better be
Fantastic,
good.
right, so-
It better be good.
Right, now you're putting pressure on me, blimey, mate. So, Verdant, you guys have currently beaten everyone below you in the standings, right?
Yeah.
You've currently lost to everyone above you in the standings. What do you think that your team needs to do to make that group of teams above you a little bit smaller and make that that group of teams below you a little bit bigger?
I think it comes to Ruddy. So I heard Regan is like shaving his head bald. His hairline is like reversing. So he's getting the same hairline
No.
as me, and they're gonna start losing, you know? So we're gonna make it. Don't worry. I promise you guys. We're gonna play
Is this industrial sabotage by Verdant that you compelled him to shave his head or reduce his hairline, or is this?
It's his genes. It's his genes, man. He's just balding.
That's
Right,
unfortunate, man. Right. Okay. Well, no one is ever looking under this, Daxman.
Yo,
It's not
before you kick me out of the interview, right? My dad is watching. Like I think it's like his first or second time he's watching it, and it's his birthday today. I just want to say happy
Aw.
birthday, Dad. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday,
Remember,
Daxman.
remember we love you very much. Best dad in the world.
Nice. You delivered him
That's
a
really
win for
cute.
his birthday. What more could he ask?
Thank you.
That's brilliant stuff, man. Daxman, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the interview.
you.
Best of luck in your upcoming games.
Thank you so much.
Crikey, as soon as I saw him on the interview, I know that was going to go in
So,
go in a direction.
are you bald or?
Am I bald? What is all this then?
Well,
What is all this then?
I mean, yeah, but you could be one of those guys that has like hair in the back there, but it's all gone. Like, you know, it's just all gone here. You know, those people
Right,
exist.
well, I tell you what, you're going to have to find out after the break, as we're going to be gone for a few minutes. And coming up, match of the week, Veneer versus Riddle.